especially like you said, the hobby and the creative is very
Yeah.
important. I mean, I love my art, so I do love to do my
Yeah.
circus, and I will always
Yeah.
do shows. I don't care how much money I'm making. I still want to do my shows. I still love creating art
Mm,
with either modeling or my own drawings. So I sell my
yeah.
own prints. I don't really advertise it too much, but just a little bit of extra income. So it's just a
Yeah.
lot of little different things that all
Mm,
together quite adds up. And
yeah.
for example, just I'm trying to think of it as something can pay something. So at the moment, I have an OnlyFans, but it's just a page where I just post my modeling photos because
Cool.
I do a lot of art nudes, and obviously a lot of
Awesome.
time that's not acceptable on Instagram. So I just
Mm,
put it on that page. It's just my photos, and I
yeah.
feel like my subscription then I can either use that to pay my monthly rent while I'm traveling,
Yeah.
or my
Yeah.
food when I'm traveling, something like
Hmm.
that. So each little passive income, I'm using it as this can pay this can pay that.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a good way to look at it. Yeah, it's
And
perfect.
I've actually never heard people say that passive income isn't the way anymore.
Well, not so much passive income, but just having like a lot of different things to focus on.
Oh, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I-
people with ADHD, we struggle with focusing on one thing.
Right. 100%. Yeah, totally. It's that, and actually, it's like, depending on how you work, sometimes actually it can fuel you. Like I notice, especially when I go into kind of like a super like hyper frenzy, I'll like get heaps of work done, but I don't just do one thing. I will like be doing 10 things at once. But then, like, at the end of that chunk of time, I've got everything done. I'm like editing a photo, and then I'm sending an email, and then I'm like signing somebody up for a program and posting on Instagram. And at the end, it's like, oh, cool, I got all of that done. And then other times I'm like so chill, like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm just going to work on this one thing right now. And I just get so like hyper focused on it and just spend the whole time doing that one thing. And it's just like such a different way of working, and both works for me depending on how I'm feeling. But I think that's another thing when you have an online business, it's like, or like working for yourself, it's like you don't have a boss to be like, hey, do this, or like, I want you to work like this, or I need you to do the task in this way or in this order. And so I think a whole huge chunk of being self-employed and being an entrepreneur is actually learning about yourself, which is why I do so much personal development, because it's like I need to understand how I work and what actually nourishes me and fills my cup up, not only so that I can serve and give to my clients, but just so I can run my business and know what I actually need, and the things like the routines that set me up for greatness. Because something for me is like routines, I really thrive. Like when I know what time I'm working, what time I'm going to the gym, all of that kind of stuff, like that is my thrive zone. Whereas I know a lot of people, like, that's actually not for them. That actually makes them feel stressed. They like to kind of flow from here to there and do things spontaneously as they feel inspired. Whereas if I try and do that, I get nothing done, and I just end up getting to the end of the day and I feel like irritated because I haven't been productive. So I feel like the biggest thing that I say to people is do personal development, like find out about yourself, look at your astrology, look at your human design, like work with a coach that can help guide you and who can help you like with your mindset, because that actually, like, our mindset, as you would know, right, is our greatest asset, because
Yeah.
that's what's going to help set us up. And that's the thing that people like us, we can have setbacks and we can have businesses fail, or that we like lose interest in or don't want to do anymore, or they don't do well, whatever it is. But it's like we still have that mindset so that we can just get back out there and get back up and try again, which,
Yeah.
you have to be able to do that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I was actually going to say scheduling can be quite important, not in
Yeah.
the way of, having to do a to-do list, but for me is that I have a weekly list. So,
Yeah.
for example, I have to work on my online business on Monday, Tuesday. So these are for
Yeah.
my online businesses, especially podcasts. So Tuesdays, I
Cool.
usually edit, post my podcast. Wednesdays, I usually work with my clients. So I usually do all
Mm.
my clients' circus work. On Friday, I do all my performance work. So I have like, for me, it's not a daily to-do list, but a weekly to-do list, just so at least I know I'm going to get the work that I have to do done.
Yeah.
Because obviously I need to know when I'm performing. I need to know when I'm training. I need to know when I have my clients. I need to, especially with online business, it's really easy to fall behind as well.
Yeah.
Because you have the freedom. You don't have a boss, so you have the freedom to do nothing.
Totally. I feel like it's easy to fall behind, but it's also easy to end up working 24/7, right? Like
Yes. Oh,
waking up in the
yeah.
morning, rolling over, checking your emails, you know, or, you know, it's 9 o'clock at night, you're still talking to clients.
Boundaries.
Well, that's it, right? That's like, that was one of the biggest things I did last year, where I was like, okay, cool. I'm not on my phone until 9 a.m. and I'm off it by 6 p.m. And all of my clients know that now. And like Sundays, I won't go on my phone for anything business related. I'll only do personal stuff. But especially even, you know, now that I'm back in a launch, I was just talking to my fiance the other day and I was like, okay, that's it. Sundays is a technology free day for me, you know, in future, because it's like so important to have that wind down time, especially like mentally, because otherwise you just get too overstimulated. And like, that's when you'll start waking up at like 3 a.m. and like thinking about your to-do list. And, you know, even I've had times when I've been like, oh, should I just get up and reply to that email now? And I'm like, it's 3 a.m. Like, don't do that.
Oh no, I haven't had that, but I've had the whole waking up with bad anxiety.
Yeah.
And I know it's because I'm anxious of the to-do list that's coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. I've had like the bad anxiety waking up about like stressing, you know, for example, about money, because that's another big thing that I feel like people don't talk about when you have your own businesses. It's like, there's no guarantee then that you're going to make money. There's no kind of cushion or fallback to be like, oh, you know, it's okay if you don't go to work today. Like, you're still going to get paid. You can just call in sick, because it's like, actually you can't. Like, that's why it's so important to set yourself up in a way that, you know, if you do want to have a sick day or just have a day off, you can. But like that, like, I don't know if you've ever had that waking up in the morning stressed about money. Like, I used to wake up when I first started coaching and be like, oh, how am I going to pay rent this week? Like, who's going to sign up to do a session with me?
I don't know if I've had the exact same, like waking up in the morning with that anxiety, but I know it's something that's in the back of my head. Just because every time you want to start a new business, the amount of money that goes into it. And we like to think that if it's an online business, it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
That's a lie, because already a website costs well over $1,000 to make. All of the stuff that you have to buy, all the memberships that you have to buy, and all of that on top, it gets very scary, especially you don't know how much you're going to make from it. So it's always terrifying to start it, especially, and then running it, you have to run ads, you have to do this and that, and you never know, like, oh my god, is it going to come back into flow? You have to just trust the process. And what I love about the business that you're in now is just how, you know, it's your passion, and you've tried all these things and you're like, this is it. So I feel like, because you have so much passion with it, people can sense that, and you're like literally bringing in that energy back within your business.
Yeah, it's so important. And that's like, you know, even my program that I'm marketing now, Aurum, it's like the whole, I feel like that's, you know, where it really birthed from for me. It was like, well, guys, like, because a lot of people will ask me that too, or, you know, I'll post questions about like, what would you love, or what do you wish is different? And so many people reply like, I wish that I was making money doing something that I love. I wish that like business felt easy. And I'm like, oh, the key thing is that you really actually have to connect with your heart and with your soul and find out what is that thing that you're passionate about. Because, you know, especially like you look at rich people who, you know, nice rich people, they're not doing jobs that they hate. Like, they generally always have their own business. And if you ask them about their business, they're so excited to tell you about it. Like, that is their passion. And that is like, I'm like, oh, I just want everyone to understand that, like, if you're not passionate about it, like, I have a rule for myself now where I'm like, if I'm not passionate about it, if it's not like a full-bodied fuck yes for me, where I'm like, fuck, that's exactly what I want to do, and it lights me up and just makes me want to like, oh, jump up and down and get so excited. I'm like, I'm not going to do that thing. Even when it comes to like little tasks, like, even, you know, we're going to move into this house soon, and something that like I was talking about is like, man, I could clean, like, it's a pretty big house. I was like, I love cleaning. Like, I live tidying and stuff. And so sometimes when I'm like feeling a bit mentally blocked, or especially like kind of creatively blocked, or if I feel a bit stressed or something, I'll go and clean. because like psychologically what it does is it actually helps organize my unconscious mind. So it's like I kind of, my brain switches off, and I notice that like all of the thoughts, anything I'm stressing about or thinking about, or, you know, even things that I'm inspired about that I want to do, kind of all just start coming up in my head, and I'm just cleaning. It's all just like, and I just let the process kind of almost like a meditation now just take over. And then I'll like get to the end of cleaning a room, and I'll have this like, oh, yes, this is the thing, this is the next step. And then I'll go back to work. But so that's, you know, really super powerful. But I'm like, but do I want to clean my whole house all the time? And I have a toddler who I literally clean, and like 2 seconds later, he's like messing everything up. So we're going to hire a cleaner. And I was just like thinking about how that's something so simple, but it's just like, again, it's like the power of like utilizing your money, utilizing your resources, because it's like all that time that it frees up. It's like the cleaner is going to take 2 hours to come through and clean my whole house. So it's going to cost me like $100 like once a week. But for me to clean my whole house is going to take me forever, because I'm going to be like playing with my son or like getting distracted and like talking to clients. So it's going to probably take me all day. And by the end of the day, like where I started will be messy again anyway. Like, so I think there's just like this really important kind of mindset shift of where, like, in terms of money, I always talk about money being my friend. I have this visualization that money is like Aladdin's magical carpet, and I like fly around on the magical carpet and just go wherever I want. And so I'm like, cool, this is where money gets to actually be your friend and be kind of a bit of a game and be like, oh, how could I actually create myself more time and more space? Or even like my fiance and I have just hired a nanny so that a couple of days a week, our son can go and play with the nanny, and he's having the best time, and he comes back and he's so excited. But then we get some time where we get to have like a bit of time together, or work in our joint business, or just literally self-care and go to the sauna or whatever. And it's like, wow, in the past, I would have looked at that money and been like, stressed because I'm spending money on, you know, something kind of superfluous. But actually it's like, well, no, that nourishes me so much that I'm going to then make 10 times more money in my business.
Yeah,
It's just like,
it's super important, because we stress so much about money that we don't realize how much time we are really wasting. And it devastates me when I hear people say that they're not happy in the job that they're at, and they just do it because, you know, they need the money. And the thing is that we spend most of our life working. Like, let's say you work a 9 to 5, that's 5 days a week that you're working and 2 days that you're not. You want to make sure that if you're going to work 5 days a week, that it's going to be something that is you're passionate about, that you love. And then especially when it comes to building your own business, something that I have learned as well is it actually valuable for me to do this task myself, or should I just pay somebody to do it? So for example, all my video editing, I hired somebody to do that because I realized I'm bad at editing, for one. So it takes me a long time. I have zero passion for it. And I remember wanting to start a YouTube when I was really young. I filmed over 100 videos. Not one of them has been edited and posted because I try and I can't find the passion for it. So I just end up putting it to the side. And right now I can just have my video editor edit all my videos, and it becomes a lot easier on me. He loves doing it. He makes a living out of it, while I end up literally just focusing and having the time to do what I like doing. So I think that's super important as well, just hiring people for tasks that you don't like doing.
Yeah, totally. It's so important. Like, and it just, what it frees up is such a game changer, especially because then you get to focus on your genius zone and your passion, which is where the transformation is, but also like generally that's where the money and the alchemy is. You know, love it.
I love it. But literally there's so many opportunities for people out there. So what would be your advice for people who want to literally just go out and travel? Because it's scary, actually. You know what? It's scary.
It's scary. I feel like that's one of the biggest things is like, you just have to trust. I always kind of talk about like, you have to take the leap before you think that you're ready, because the version of you that's going to be doing that thing is not the same version of you as who you are now. So it's like, if you want to go out there and travel, it's like you have to think about what's the version of me in 6 months who's been traveling and met all these people and, you know, taken all of these flights alone and booked hotels and everything. Like, how would that person handle this situation right now of, you know, being scared to book my first flight? And it's like, you know, once you do something once, you can do it again. Because you're like, it's just getting over that kind of first hurdle. I remember the first flight that I took by myself. I was 20, almost 21, and I decided to move to South America. And I'd never been there. I didn't speak a word of Spanish, but I was just like, you know what? I just feel like this is where I'm meant to go. And so I just like packed my bags and I got on that plane. My parents took me to the airport and dropped me off, and I got on that plane and I felt so nervous. And I had like 3 really long plane flights from Perth to, I think Santiago in Chile is where I flew to. And I remember being so nervous, and even getting out at the airport in Chile, I was just like, oh my God. Everyone was like speaking Spanish to me. I didn't understand a word. Like, but it's like once I'd done that and I had, you know, come through it and actually ended up having an absolutely amazing time there, I was like, oh, I could do this again. And then from that point, from 20, I just pretty much didn't stop traveling until I came back to Australia when COVID hit, like, because I was just like, oh, cool. It's just like, it does something for you. I swear it just like alchemizes something in you when you just actually do the thing, especially when you can like feel your heart talking to you, being like, hey, just like do this thing. If you just keep ignoring that, you're going to end up just being like resentful and frustrated, versus if you just do the thing, even if it feels scary, and then you get to the other side and you're just like,
and I like to always listen to my body. So
yes,
if something's scary, it's because you should do it. It's because it's the right thing that you're supposed to do. And then often, if you want to give up everything to travel, it's usually because you're not happy where you're at now. And I think you need to listen to that. Why are you feeling this way? What needs to change? And then I think also a way to make you feel more secure in giving up everything to travel is writing 50 ways of making money.
Oh yeah, I love that.
A list of 50 ways to make money. So you're always going to be set. And I think some people always put on like borrowing money. It can be literally anything. And if you have a list of 50, you know you're good. You know you're good. Because if A and B doesn't work, well, you can go at number 30.
Oh yeah.
I feel like once you start noticing all the opportunities are endless. You don't have to be stuck in one job. If you give up on that job, you can always get a second one in a different field. You can study something else. Like you decided to go into yoga, even though you hadn't done yoga before.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities.
Oh, it's crazy. I even still do that in kind of like a different way now, like where I'm like every week, I like to set myself a manifestation goal of how much extra money I'd love to manifest. And this is like bonus unexpected money. So like not where it's like payments coming in from my clients or whatever. It's just like random money. And, you know, sometimes it might manifest in the form of someone books a photo shoot and, you know, there's $1,200, or someone pays up front for a $5,000 program. Like, cool. And it's just like this way of kind of making money exciting again, because especially like our conditioning around money is we have so much dogma and so much shame and so much like guilt, and money is kind of similar to sex in like it's kind of a bit taboo to talk about it, and even more taboo to talk about wanting more of it, because we're so conditioned to like kind of stay in your place, stay like, don't, you know, like if you want more, it's greedy and rich people are evil and all of this kind of stuff. It's like we lost this, you know, money as a game, and we get to actually play with money, and money gets to be something really fun. Just the same as with sex, where it's like sex became this like shameful taboo thing that's like only for marriage and behind closed doors, and you definitely can't talk about that. Don't talk about it in front of kids. It's like money and sex. Like I talk a lot about this in my programs. Like I'm like, the way you relate to sex, I bet you are going to relate a very similar way to money. And so when I can be like
chakra, isn't it?
Yeah, sacral. Yeah, it's just like when you can kind of turn it into a game, like, hey, this week, like I literally said to my partner the other day, I was like, all right, maybe this week I want to manifest an unexpected extra $4,000. She was like, all right, get it. And it's just like the ways that comes in, then I'm like, not consciously thinking about that all week. It's like this unconscious thing where my unconscious mind is like looking for opportunities, which is something I love about like the work that I do with like the psychology and kinesiology and NLP stuff, where